So me and a couple of friends went to a bar, and then on the way home, started doing some stupid college kid stuff. Eventually got the cops called on us, and as we got to the dorms, um, the cops arrived, and instead of stopping, we ran, which obviously wasn't smart, but eventually went to the dorms, and that's when they came to our room, arrested us, and sat us down in the hallway and started their, I don't know if interrogation is the right word, but their questioning of us. And from there, there's about 5 of us arrested. Say 4 of us total. 3 of them being white kids and me being a person of color. We're all sat down and handcuffed. And my handcuffs were extremely tight. So much so that I had to ask the other officer to loosen them because they were digging into my wrists.
Were any of the other people's handcuffs as tight as yours?
No, no.
And you had like lacerations on your wrists, right?
Yeah. Once the whole process was done and we were uncuffed, my wrists were completely bruised and swollen from how tight they were. And then there's also other questions too that, you know, might be standard police procedure, but to me felt weird, like, you know, going through the line, talking to every other kid, it's the same questions, and then comes to me and asks, like, kind of like where I'm from, and like what ethnicity and all this stuff. You know, just questions like that that are kind of weird compared to the questions that were asked with the other kids.
Do you think it was necessary for them to cuff you? Were you trying to fight back or anything?
No, I mean, the reason we got in trouble kind of in the first place is because we ran. So I think there was an idea of like a flight risk kind of thing. So maybe it was like standard procedure, but I mean, being college kids already, you know, we were caught and there was no chance of us getting away again. I don't think they had to have cuffed us. I mean, they could have just sat us down in the hallway and we'd be fine. Or even just made us stay in the room and they like talked to us then, but probably didn't have to be cuffed, and I definitely didn't have to be cuffed that bad.
So now that Officer Phillips has since been fired from the U of O PD, looking back on this situation that you went through, what does that tell you about the situation you went through?
Yeah, it's definitely weird reading his story of why he got, you know, fired and whatnot based off of a bad interaction with another person of color, Latino. Definitely made me feel that my kind of interaction wasn't, you know, random, or it wasn't, you know, I would say that it was definitely, he felt a certain way, I guess, and then his actions continued and eventually got him fired, so, you know, seeing that was definitely pretty interesting.
How was it for you, like, because you hear about all this stuff about cops being, police brutality on the news and such, and so seeing all that and experiencing it firsthand, was that kind of like eye-opening to you in any way?
Yeah, because you know, my mom's also Mexican, obviously, and she's always told me to like be very, you know, well-mannered with police and never run, and I got learned my lesson with that for sure. But she always told me to like be super careful with police, and you know, having this experience, I'm like always on edge now because I know like how bad it can be based on like my own experience, and that it could be even worse based on like what's going on in the world today, right now, every day in America with police and especially Black Americans. Um, it's constantly around us. You see it everywhere, so I feel like I'm always on edge. Kind of.
I mean, it's just kind of crazy because, like, I mean, you're a college student, so he can't, like, get you that bad. But imagine, like, this kind of honestly sadistic kind of person out on the streets, like, dealing with even more dangerous people. So,
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think of that like maybe I was even taking. It could have been way worse if I was just, maybe I was downtown doing this and he had, he was more used to dealing with people downtown, or I think being a campus cop and dealing with college students, you kind of need to act a certain way, I guess, as a police officer, but, I mean, even then, it didn't stop him from, not doing his job correctly, which is unfortunate. And, I mean, it's just good that we got him off duty when we did, because you never know when he would take it even farther, you know what I mean? I mean, my experience compared to so many others is, nothing. It could have been so much worse, but, I mean, it's these small steps that, like, lead to something bigger happening.